5.2. Solve inequalities using multiplication and division. The multiplication property of inequality indicates that when you multiply each side of an inequality by a positive number, it produces an equivalent inequality. So if A is less than B, and if we multiply this inequality by a positive number, C, then A times C will still be less than B times C. And if A is greater than B and we multiply this inequality by a positive number C, then A times C is still greater than B times C. And for the division property of inequality, when you divide each side of an inequality by a positive number, it produces an equivalent inequality. So if A is less than B, and if we multiply by a positive number C, then A divided by C is still less than B divided by C. And if A is greater than B, and we divide by a positive number C, then A divided by C is still greater than B divided by C. And if we go back to the multiplication property of inequality, when you multiply each side of an inequality by a negative number, then you need to reverse the inequality sign. And this will still produce an equivalent inequality. So if A is less than B and C is less than 0, meaning a negative number, then if we multiply this inequality by a negative number C, we need to reverse the inequality sign. So therefore A times C is less than B times C. And when A is greater than B and C is less than 0, meaning negative number, then if we multiply A times a negative number, C, we need to reverse the inequality sign. So greater than to less than B times a negative number C. So again, we can rewrite this as AC less than BC. And the same holds true for the division property of inequality. If you divide each side of an inequality by a negative number, this would also produce an equivalent inequality if you reverse the inequality sign. So if A is less than B and C is negative, then when you divide by a negative number to both sides of the inequality, you need to reverse the inequality sign. And if A is greater than B and C is a negative number, and you divide this inequality by a negative number C, you need to reverse again the inequality sign. And note that these properties are also true for inequalities involving the greater than or equal sign and less than or equal sign. Guided practice, part A. Write a verbal sentence for the inequality. How do we read this properly or write this properly in words? We will write it as the product of negative 24 and x is greater than eight and 56 hundredths. And part B, write an inequality for the verbal sentence. The product of 8 and x is less than negative 2.5, or 2 and 5/10. Part C, solve the inequality and then graph your solution. Okay, so for this first one here, I can divide by 0.3. And since it's a positive number, I don't have to reverse my inequality sign, so my final answer would be r greater than negative 60. And I'm just going to plot the point negative 60, open circle, and point the arrow to the right. And for the next problem, I need to multiply both sides by the positive number 4. The inequality stays the same. Negative 9.6 times 4 is negative 38.4. And don't worry about the exact location. Just make sure you draw a closed circle and point the arrow in the correct direction. And for the next one, we're dividing by a negative number when solving the inequality. So we need to reverse the inequality sign. So negative negative makes positive, and this would be 3/5. Or we can rewrite this as x greater than 3/5. Either answer is okay. I'm just going to plot this point and make an open circle, 3/5, and arrow pointing to the right. And then for the next problem, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of negative 4/3. And since we've multiplied by the reciprocal of a negative number, we also need to reverse the inequality sign. So negative negative makes positive, and then we have 2.8 over 3. N is greater than 14 over 15. We're just going to graph this here, close circle, and point the arrow to the right. Word problems. You need at least 34 eggs to make enough chiffon cakes for a bake sale. Your grocery store sells cartons of eggs only by the dozen. Of all the possible number of cartons that you can buy, which is the least number? So I'm going to first let x equal the number of cartons. There are 12 eggs in a dozen, so I can set up an inequality as 12x greater than or equal, because it says at least here, 34. And after we solve the inequality by dividing by 12 to both sides, we get x greater than or equal to 2 and 5/6. Okay, and this is about 3, because we can't delete 5/6. We will need these extra eggs. So at least 3 cartons. An electronics store is selling a laptop computer for $1,050. You can spend no more than $900 for the laptop, so you wait for it to go on sale. Also, you plan to use a store coupon for 5% off the sale price, for which decreases in price will you consider buying the laptop? I'm going to let P equal the sale price. And 0.05 times P equal the amount of discount from the coupon. So when I set up the inequality, I need to take P, the sale price, and subtract the amount of discount from the coupon. And I don't want to spend any more than $900, so less than or equal 900. Now I can solve, and this would be 0.95p less than or equal to 900, and then p will be less than or equal to 900 over 95. And then after solving this, you should get about $947.37. And the problem asks for the amount of decreases in which you will consider buying the laptop. So I need to take $1,050 and subtract 947.37. So I would get $102.63. So this would be decreases of at least $102.63. And this concludes the lesson.